So this is my last raised bed frame that is in the big awesome tomato garden, and I want to move it because I need to move the greenhouse frame that's in this area, and this is going to be kind of in the way later. So this bed has become full of earthworms, and what I've done is I've kind of mounded the soil up here because a lot of that is actually worm castings. And it's dried out some. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those dried castings out and put them in a bucket to take to my new raised beds up in the other garden space. And we'll do that till we get down to the worms. So you just scoop up the loose, drier material off the top. Got a lot of rocks in here. And because worms do not want to be dried out and they don't like the sun, so they will go down deeper into the material and till they are in a comfortable zone. And I'm not finding any right here, but we're getting down to them. If you didn't know, worm castings are have 7 times higher the amount of nitrogen, and castings are just worm poop. And they're about 7 times higher in nitrogen, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but they are also higher in phosphorus and potash than the original organic materials that they started with. And now I'm getting down to the worms, so I'll show you that. You can see a little worm right there. I do not like messing with indoor worm bins or ones that do not have contact with the ground, because they really need a lot more care and supervision than those that are in contact with the ground. If they're in contact with the soil and their bin gets too hot or too cold or too dry, then they can just migrate down into the soil where they're more comfortable and stay alive. Whereas if they're completely disconnected from the soil, they will usually die, or they might try to crawl up and out of the bin. So it is a little harder in the desert in the summertime to keep them monitored even in contact with the soil, because just because we're so hot and so dry. But if you can put them in a really shady place like the north side of your house where no direct sun will hit the bin, then you can do a really good job. You just have to water sometimes every day or every other day just to keep them moist enough. Okay, so I've got most of my loose dry castings out, and now what I'm doing is I'm digging down and I'm just piling up some more material, and tomorrow I'll come and collect these castings after these worms go down into the bottom. So you can see one there. They don't like the sun, and the sun will dehydrate them and kill them very quickly, especially if it's really hot and dry. These are not ordinary worms. These are called red wigglers or compost worms, sometimes fishing worms or manure worms. They are common in manure piles. I'm not for sure exactly what country or continent or area of the world they originated in. I don't think they're native to the United States area, but I'm not for sure. But these are the kind that you want for making castings and breaking down manure and compost in a pretty quick timeline. If you tried to do this with the native night crawlers, it wouldn't work. My understanding is that night crawlers are territorial, and so they would not like to be in a bin with hundreds or thousands of other worms, because they want to make their own little burrows and kind of live a solitary life. Whereas our red wigglers like to be all together with other worms and in a really moist environment. This is starting to dry out a little bit. As you can see, it's kind of dry and crumbly. Not super dry. I mean, it's still a little moist, but it's getting dried out. But they like to be really damp and have lots and lots of organic matter to eat. Manure, mulch, leaves, compost of any sort, food waste. So that's your best bet. So that's a quick 101 on having a worm bed or a worm box or starting your worms. I've come up here to this little tomato garden. There's a few cherry tomatoes. Hi, Tinkers. Tink the cat wants to. Hi. You want to say hi? Yeah. Anyway, I've come up here and dumped that half a bucket of castings out into one of my new beds. I mostly use some worm castings as inoculants. They're full of life. They're full of bacteria and fungi. They are full of worms and just life in general, and they will really bring your soil alive, provided you keep feeding it, because they do need a lot of organic matter to eat. They just really bring things alive, and they really help your plants grow tremendously. Ow! That was not nice, Tinkers. Tink's being a stinker, poking my leg with her feet, with her little claws out. What? I know I didn't feed you yet. It's not time. It's not time to get dinner yet. I know, you saw me and you thought it was dinner time, huh? Yeah. It's about that time. It's probably close enough. Probably do give you guys your dinner and get ready to start feeding goats. Yep. Okay. Anyway, that's a little bit about raising worms. Maybe I can go into that a little bit more on another day when I'm really working a compost pile or something that's got a lot of worms in it. You can see just huge masses of worms. If they're happy, boy, they are really working the organic matter, and they're really reproducing and doing really good stuff. And that's just the best thing in the world. One of the best things you can do in your garden is to have earthworms. Even if you don't have red wigglers, if you have native earthworms, that's probably even better, because they're adapted to your soil and your climate and everything. So, we'll see you later.